What is up, everybody? We're going to be looking today at what's going on in the old patriarchy. We're going to be checking in with a bit of feminism. What else is on my list that's in front of me? Well, what are the protesters up to? That's what I want to know. What are the protesters up to? And, of course, everybody is still a... Let's begin, then, with checking in with the patriarchy. We want to know just how oppressed the female species are. It's tragic that they have to live in a world of such oppression. And, they are the true, real victims of misogyny. So we're going to begin this episode. I don't know what it is, really. It's just kind of naturally evolving. You know what I mean? Right, let's have a look. We do not need men. Now, do you get the impression that she's going to come out with something profound? But she does have a look in her eye, doesn't she? It's a scowl. She's, if I was to do it, actually... But let's give it a listen and a watch.
Do not need men. They are an added bonus and fun in our life.
These are all the civilizational dependent areas, aren't they? It's actually funny. I was speaking to somebody. I was in Amsterdam very recently, within the last few days. And I was speaking to a very nice lady. She was German, and she was mentioning all of the hot buzzwords, patriarchy, etc., etc. And I was reciting some of these statistics to her. And I was saying, why is it that these civilizational dependent jobs are filled by men? And she said it's because women and girls are discouraged from going into them, which makes no sense to me because there's nothing stopping them from going into these jobs. There's nothing stopping them at all. And I said to her, so if your daughter was discouraged by someone, they said she can't do this because she's a girl, would you say to her, you should absolutely listen to what that person is saying and you should allow yourself to be discouraged? I mean, I don't do well at dinner parties when politics comes up, because I have no restraint. Let's check out some more of these gerbs. I tell you what the women didn't do. Took a gerb! I'm not sure about that paramedics, 85%. I'm going to fact check that. I just feel like, if I am going to be providing you good people with content, you have a right to accuracy. 85% of paramedics, men. What model do you want? Oh, just the best one. Oh, not in the UK. I mean, in the US, they're like 68%. See, the other ones didn't feel like rubbish, but that one just didn't feel right. Well, I'm gonna have to check some of the others now, aren't I? I'm gonna have to. I bet. Okay, where are we? Military. That must mean frontline only. Let's go firefighters. 95% of firefighters men. And mostly yes. In many places around the world, the share of fighters who are men is close to 90 to 95%. Okay. Well, let's check the military one. What was it it said? Was it 95% again? Well, actually, 97 of military. 95% of the military men. I mean, frontline military is 100% men, which is kind of... No, men are not the large majority, most, but typically around 80 to 90%. Okay, it's still up there. What else? Firefighters, coal miners. I mean, that's, it just feels like it makes sense. Are 95% of coal miners men? I wonder. I bet it could be higher. Not quite. Coal mining is heavily male dominated, but the data suggests more like 80 to 90% overall, not a consistent 95%. Yeah. I mean, it's it ain't far off, is it? I'm gonna skip to pilots. That's an interesting one. 94%. 94% of pilots men. This would be interesting. I reckon, yeah. I actually reckon, yeah. Close, but slightly off. For airline and professional pilots, women are typically around 5 to 10%. So around 90 to 95% of men. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That the patriarchy, these men providing all of the civilizational dependent jobs, it's just so oppressive. And look at how oppressed she is. Look, that wine there it's like an eighth full. And look at her jewelry. She's only got one ring. It's oppression. And I won't hear any different. What was the other one that I was interested in? These are all obviously correct. Oil rig workers, 96%. Let's check it out while we're here. 96% of oil rig workers, men. Many men. Look, there's nothing stopping the girls from doing these jobs, but I'm going to go with they probably don't want to do them. For rig-type field roles, that about 96% men figure is actually pretty close. Yeah, ain't it? The one that I think is probably most significant is that one there, construction. Because also, by the way, you may or may not know this, but somewhere between 90 and 95 out of 100 work-related deaths are men. And I said that to Mrs. German Patriarchy at the meal that we had, and that was the one that stunned her the most. But by stunned, I don't mean, oh my God, I have come round to your way of thinking. By stunned, I mean absolutely furious that facts and truth get in the way of a predetermined dogmatic view that is the patriarchy. Construction. This is going to be the last one I'm going to fact check. Let's have a look at the others. Just have a little skim through. Deep sea divers, industrial workers, engineers. Actually, I want to check engineers. Construction. And actually, I'll fact check myself first. 90 to 95 out of 100 work-related deaths, men. I've put world-related deaths. I should probably correct that, just in case it's not a very intelligent AI. But I like Perplexity. Recommend it. Obviously, not being endorsed by them because I have under 500 subscribers. Yes, that range is broadly accurate. Around 90 to 95 out of 100 work-related deaths are men in many data sets. Now, obviously, I'm not asking for a greater representation of females in that stat. And I actually think it should be. There should be zero work-related deaths. But we don't live in the world of should, do we? Damn right it should be the men that put their lives on the line. Remember the film Titanic? Women and children first. Now that's the patriarchy, isn't it? We look after the girls. Even these ones. If we were on the Titanic, you'd get a lifeboat first. Even if you were like, oh, the patriarchy. I'm so oppressed. Yes. This way. Climb aboard, madam. Climb aboard. Do you want a hand? No, you don't want a hand because that's too oppressive. No problem. Just don't slip. Is what I'm saying. It's slippery for anyone. It's slippery. It could be it'd be slippery for the strongest man in the world. No, I'm not saying that you can't do it because you're not the strongest man. I'm just saying, just take my hand and I'll give you a lift. Well, fucking drown then. I'm not sure where that came from. Construction, I was going to check, wasn't I? 92% of construction workers, men. But I mean construction site. I don't mean in the Terrapin managing the teams. For construction workers overall, that figure is a bit high. Yeah, but that's why I clarified site workers, isn't it? Perplexity. UK construction, UK overall, about 14 to 16% of the construction workforce, meaning roughly 80 to 86% are men. However, thank you for clarifying this. On construction sites in manual trade, women make up around 1 to 2% of workers. So it's around 98 to 99% are on the tools. So actually, we can amend this, can't we? There we go. It's actually higher. It's actually higher than that. That's a little bit on the low side. So there we have it. But there's more. So it's not there we have it, really. That was just kind of setting the tone, really. We need to understand the dogma of feminism in the modern era and the narrative of the patriarchy. I mean, I was surprised to meet someone in real life in 2026 that is still espousing this stuff. But alas, it happened. And, it's strange that even the fact that we demonstrably live in a world that has never been better. I mean, when has it ever been better? I mean, not just for the ladies, but for anyone. But people, they want to be depressed, don't they? Louis Theroux, The Manosphere. I've watched a bit of it, and I've only seen the first guy. What's his name? Let me get his name, because I want to be accurate. The China virus. All right. Give me a list of who's in it. Just give me a list of who's in it. This guy. Who's he? What's his name? What's his name? For fuck's sake. Him. Who's that? Oh my God, alive. Let's just ask Perplexity. Done with it. Yes, Harrison Sullivan, HS, Tiki Toki. That's it. This geezer. Utter embarrassment. But are we not able to make the connection between this new ideology, this new ideologically driven era of uber feminism with narratives like the patriarchy, which says that men rule the world and women are oppressed by men and every man's a misogynist and women and girls are under threat every second of the day from big bad horrible men, and boys need to be educated into how horrendous they are, and blah 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 blah. Even though we've just seen that actually men, we're actually not that bad. We actually, ask our daughters and our mothers and our sisters. Most of them will say, "Do you know what? He's a bloody good bloke." But one of the most unforgivable consequences of this feminism, this uber feminist patriarchal ideology, is that it's given space to these retards. Let's see if we can have a look at a clip, actually, because it is embarrassing. Do you know what? I've not seen this clip. I would get it up on Netflix, but I think Netflix, when I'm running OBS, I think Netflix prevents you from showing its content. Let's see if he shows how embarrassing.
Hey, did you film up there? Were you filming? When we were just pulling things and moving mad, mate.
No.
What were you doing, bro?
We were looking for you.
How? I had my maps on. Alright, well, just follow me, stay behind, and get your shit. Because we're on live right now.
Okay.
Have you got anything to say to the live, Theroux?
Not really.
Go on, say something, mate. Give me some content.
What are you on? What platform?
I'm on Kick, I'm on YouTube right now.
And what's the plan for this evening?
Mate, the plan is, which you're gonna see, I just walk up and down and just, mate, just get numb, wet, mate. That's what I do.
Have you let Harris know the police are looking for him?
What? Oh, Harris, Louis needs to tell you.
You assaulted someone on camera earlier.
Did I?
Yeah.
I thought I was edited. Honestly, what have you got to say though? What did you say?
What happened?
Did you involve the police?
He called the police.
You snitched?
Well, I did my civic duty, yes.
Nah.
El Theroux in the chat.
Why did you punch
He's not showing himself for the muppet that he is in this clip.
that guy?
I didn't punch him.
I saw it. It was on
slapped
stream.
him.
Yeah, why did you do that?
Because I want to feel his bald head in it. Like, I want to feel what it feels like. No, but honestly, I thought.
Nobody should ever talk that way about bald people.
Someone in the chat, can I ask you a question?
Oh, jeez, don't make me the content.
I'm not making you the content, but someone's saying that you're very good friends with Jimmy Savile. What have you got to say for yourself?
Jimmy Savile. Well, I helped to expose him while he was alive.
They're saying you're friends, and
Well, he's dead, so I can't be friends
you
with him
used to
now.
have a few freak offs. Anyway, on that note, let's keep it stepping. Hey, your crew's laughing, mate. They know what's up. They know what's up. What's wrong with the shirt? Do you like the fit, Louis? Yeah? What are you doing? Just prowling in the back there, mate. Gonna say anything? He's reliving his younger years through TikTok.
Talking about himself in the third person.
What's the content? What are you actually doing?
So I'm just talking to girls, really. Walking around talking to girls, getting pictures with people that watch me and shit.
Yeah.
But mainly just talking to girls.
Are you surprised how young?
This is the manosphere. I hate the term, but if we're going to be calling out dogma like patriarchy and modern feminism, then we also need to be calling out this. And it's embarrassing. He's embarrassing. There are worse clips than this, though, but I haven't seen it, so it might get worse.
Some of your fans are
Yeah, them. That is, but do you know what it is?
like 11, 12.
Yeah, they're too young to be watching my shit, but earlier on, before you was here, there was like people that are like your age. So it's literally all ages watch this stuff.
11 and 12-year-olds watching him is... I don't even... That's... I don't know what... I'm speechless by that.
So you know, earlier on Netflix when we were talking and like you were happy that Trump doesn't want, Epstein's files to be released. Why is that?
What? Wait, I wasn't happy about that.
Because they're all saying you're on the files.
They said you were on the files.
Who the is Louis anyway? Louis is a documentary guy. Hey, come here a sec, Louis.
The thing is, 20 years from now, HS Tiki-Toki, it'd be interesting to see, because Louis Theroux's been doing this a long time. Louis Theroux's been doing this a long time, longer than 20 years. And like him or not, he's got balls. But I wonder where HS Tiki-Toki will be. I wouldn't be surprised, based on the way he makes his money, which is, of course, it's something to do with trading. He'll end up in prison.
Make me the content.
Who is Louis Theroux?
Don't make me the content. This guy got 999.
No, he didn't. That's the highest score on there. No one will get more than 925 on here, which is my highest
Why is
score.
that?
Because that's my highest score and I don't lose. Gay! Gay! Hey, what the Hey, punch it. Punch it like you're being attacked, mate. Yeah, say no more, mate. Come on. 926, best score in the thing. See you later, let's go. Hey, Theroux, is that how you'd punch if someone was coming into your house about to attack you and your family?
You gotta love a bit of roadman speak.
Would you be at the top of the stairs, like?
How's the stream going?
Yeah, pretty good. Not the best KD, but I'm sweating like a and I didn't realise. Like W's to L's, we're 9-7. It's normally about 9-2. Like 9 numbers, 2 L's.
What does KD stand for?
KD, kill-death ratio.
Kill to death ratio.
So like a kill's getting the number,
Right.
and an L, and a death is taking an L.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's 9-7 right now, which
You got
is
9 numbers and 7 rejections.
yeah, but it's because I'm sweating.
Yeah, I mean,
As the first.
believe it or not, that clip didn't actually show him in his worst light. Let's see if the trailer does. Actually, I should probably should have done this from the beginning.
I normally train a little bit earlier in the day. I like to start my day off working out,
Who are
doing
you
hard
talking
things.
to?
What, do I not talk to this? Don't talk to him. Talk to you.
We're not on social media now. What would you say is the message?
I coach boys how to make money,
Wow, this is a nice spot.
how to be outside the system, how to be proper guys.
Shut up or nut up.
Would you see me that way? Did you look at my arms?
The stature's not saying too much.
I was entering the manosphere, a wild frontier of streamers whose behavior is reshaping the culture.
People ask me why Miami, and I tell them because if it was...
Yeah, I mean, look. The reason I've gone into that is because if we just take a look at what's happening to the normal boys and the world that normal boys are growing up in, and by normal, I don't mean normal. I mean the current normal, where it's accepted that we live in a patriarchal society and uber feminism is the dogma of the day. Let's listen to this chap. I listened to him today and I thought, it ain't good for the boys.
We have hundreds of thousands of boys leaving a home without a father, going to school without any male teachers. They're learning things in schools that I find quite upsetting, where I think 42% of boys are being taught that men are a problem to society. About 1 in 4 schools are teaching kids about so-called toxic masculinity. They go home and they sort of turn on.
So you can see why these Muppets in the manosphere seem attractive. It seemed like an attractive for lack of a better word, role model
On the TV, and there's like an army now of sort of deadbeat, oafish sitcom dads. One stat that I read recently was that as of 2000, 50% of sitcom dads are sort of shown as oafs and clowns and incompetent.
I've seen that.
And in the 80s, it was 18%, and in the 90s, it was 31%. So gone are the days of Mr. Rogers. You've got to sort of contextualise the experience of these boys, and then they go onto social media, and they're inundated with toxic this and privilege that, and...
Toxic this and privilege that. Toxic masculinity is the default. Apparently that's, if you're male, you're toxic, and just by dint of being male. And privilege. This absurd notion that skin colour affords you privilege. And these things aren't treated as theories. They're treated as indisputable, irrefutable fact. Boys are taught this is the case, not this is a perspective, which is, frankly, horseshit.
Fragile masculinity, affixing these pejorative terms to men, and then they arrive at the so-called manosphere, and here they find some people that are talking positively about men and boys, although, as you identified, for their own self-interests. I don't think they're not philanthropists. They don't really care about men and boys. They just want to fill their pockets with more cash, and it's totally unsurprising that boys gravitate towards them, because who else is talking positively about men and boys?
No one is the answer. Well, no, not no one, but pretty much no one. Now, I wanted to take a look at a speech that happened in Parliament last week, and I've actually saved it. I haven't seen it, other than the first few seconds, by a politician called Geoffrey Cox, who has got probably the best voice of anyone living in the Western Hemisphere right now. But before we get to that, I just feel like we should take a look at this interesting case. And I've put it in the feminism patriarchy section because obviously modern day feminism says that men can give birth and that women can have penises. And how do these men prove that they are women? Well, it's just how they feel. So they just declare it. I am now a woman. And the feminists say, so brave, you're a woman. Please enter female-only spaces. Why not enter the women's swimming event? Get yourself a nice little medal. Doesn't matter if little Emily has trained her entire life, starting as a kid. And when she was a kid, her dad would wake her up at 5 in the morning and would take her to the swimming baths to train. And she would do that 4 times a week before going to school. And then after school, she would do training as well. Maybe not in the pool. Maybe the training involves other types of fitness. And she did that her whole life. From the age of 8 years old, she did that. And then she did that for 10 years. And then she had this amazing opportunity to join a competitive team. And she competed. She competed to win medals. And then a new swimmer joined the team, a swimmer that is about 40% larger and stronger than all of the other girls. And that's a very strange body composition. Strange when in the context of the female body and how that appears. It looks much broader in the shoulders and the legs. Something's not quite. And the shape of the face. I mean, we instinctively know immediately when we see a man. And that's what happened to Emily, my invented swimmer. But it doesn't need to be invented because this has happened hundreds of times over. Just fact check it and you will see that trophies have been taken away from girls that have spent their lives training to be the best they can be, to compete, and have had their trophies stolen by men pretending to be women. And all they had to do to convince the feminists and the patriarchists that they are women is to say, I am a woman. So, can we extrapolate that to, because surely if you can be transgender, you can extrapolate the logic that says you've arrived at being transgender, which is just to simply say you feel a certain way, to being trans something else. Take a look at this stormer. It's coming on. Oh my God. I'll read the post for you first. German woman claims to be transracial and black. She takes tanning pills and injections to darken her skin. She's mocked because of her mental illness. But the same people who mock her will praise and uplift a man who claims to be a woman. So why the double standard? This is going to be an entertaining 1 minute. You're welcome in advance.
That's the reason why I'm going to be in January. I want to go to Africa to learn more about the cultures, to avoid misunderstandings.
But you...
It's the German accent. Immediately she starts speaking, and let's just start it from the beginning. Honestly.
That's the reason why I'm going to be in January. I want to go to Africa to learn more about the cultures, to avoid misunderstandings.
But you...
And to learn more about the cultures and the person's self.
But you understand that race and colour is much more than...
And sex. And gender.
Skin deep. It's heritage and
absolutely.
pedigree and tradition.
And penises and vaginas and wombs.
And history and struggle. It's all of those things that you can't hope to get anywhere near with 3 tanning injections.
No, but also all these steps, also having black curly hairs and going to change also my nose to really African version, also more wider here.
So
and
having further surgery.
And also have and also have butt implants. Like also, I like the curves of black women, and I want to get them step by step.
But people have a problem with that. I mean, obviously you can't be transracial, but obviously you also can't change your sex or your gender. This is the definition of cognitive dissonance. Applying a set of logic to arrive at one position that completely contradicts arriving at another position by that same logic. In other words, I am a woman because I said I am a woman and I've had surgery and I wear dresses and blah, blah, blah. Well, a transracial person, I am a black woman. I have had surgery, so I'm curvy. You just know they would have a problem with that. And that is what we call cognitive dissonance. Right. Now, Jeffrey Cox, I actually might not take the whole thing 19 minutes long. So I probably won't take the whole thing. But I'm going to start with a reaction to the speech. And it's interesting. I tell you what's interesting is the this post here by the one and the only Rory Sutherland, who is an advertising exec known for his contrarian way of doing things, wrote a fabulous book called Alchemy. I recommend reading it. But he's famously apolitical, or if he is political, which most people obviously are in one way or another, he doesn't get political. But this is interesting. As another Australian politician said of their Labour Party conference, you used to get the cream of the working class at these events. Now it's the dregs of the middle class. That is the truest thing you'll hear today. And it's not just the Labour Party, it's the Green Party. It's basically any of the left-leaning parties. Imagine living in this glorious country 100 years ago. It would have been a monumental struggle. There were no workers' rights. There was no health and safety. There was no fairness when it came to wages. There was no duty for an employer to look after their workers. The Labour Party came into existence. There was a need for them. Who the are they for now? Who are the Labour Party for now? We don't have people in that kind of struggle anymore. Even what we call poverty isn't the poverty that they experienced. So who are they for? Well, they're for people that want a virtue signal. What's virtue signaling? Virtue signaling is simply displaying and showing that you have the right views and opinions without actually having to suffer any of the consequences of having those views and opinions. So, for example, we should have no borders, man, but just don't let them live where we live. All of the crime incidents that have been happening, bro, with people that come into the country and they could have been prevented if they weren't allowed in, if we actually policed our borders, bro. And that was another thing that the German lady said to me. She was like, I just don't think that the dinghies are a problem. Well, say that to the victims of crime because of these people. And yes, there are people always like, people in this country commit more crime. White people. Yeah, okay, fine, that's true. But is it also not the case? Is it that hard to get your head around that if these people had not have been here, then the crimes wouldn't have happened? I'm in the weeds. Yes. So essentially, the left-leaning parties have just become virtue signaling. We don't have to use the word woke, but let's see what Madeline Grant had to say about Geoffrey Cox's speech, and then we'll watch some of Geoffrey's speech to see how eloquent it is.
Because what I am hoping to induce is reflection upon the sheer importance of the institution about which we are to take this important decision.
We are now on a speaking limit of 6 minutes, and I call Catherine West.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and I hope to be a little more brief and less pompous than previous speakers. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am indebted to the many who serve in day-to-day.
Interesting, isn't it? She's reading off a sheet. Geoffrey Cox, I mean, we'll have a look, but I reckon Geoffrey Cox performed the whole thing off the top of his head. And these subpar, untalented politicians don't have that skill set. She's reading off of a piece of paper. What a dullard. Right, let's have a look at old Jeff's speech. Go on, Geoffrey B.
Sir Geoffrey Cox.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I should declare an interest at the beginning. I am a member of the bar, and is not uncommonly known. I still practice at the bar, and I have the honour to be a criminal barrister and a member of the Criminal Bar Association. I have spent 44 years at the bar. I have defended and prosecuted in some of the largest criminal trials that this country has ever seen, and I may say some of the longest. And I have been experienced in seeing how juries react to circumstances of adversity and circumstances which challenge and test the very boundaries of humanity in the appalling nature of the crimes they are forced to adjudicate upon. And without exception, Madam Deputy Speaker, without exception, they have responded in a manner that I think generally gives rise to the hugest admiration, not to say awe, by those who are otherwise engaged in the administration of justice. There is something about the gathering of 12 ordinary citizens chosen at random, bringing them together into the crucible that a criminal trial produces, which strips away.
This is obviously related to the fact that the Labour Party are trying to eliminate trial by jury. To free up the court backlog.
Logical prejudice or preconception, racial prejudice or preconception, and causes them to focus upon one single question. Is it true, the allegation, or is it not true? And can we be sure it is true? Or is there any doubt? And again, throughout our legal history, Madam Deputy Speaker, the wisdom and capacity of juries has been repeatedly vindicated every time they have been analysed, tested, or sought to be examined by those who research these matters.
Okay, I get the gist. I know I've only watched 2 minutes of it, but what an extraordinary set of circumstances we have here. This man, a life of wisdom, speaking passionately. No ChatGPT, is there? There's no AI here, is there? And then you've got the audacity of that dullard, the audacity of that woman to call him pompous as she reads from her sheet. Well, there are still men we can look up to. Jeffrey, you're one of them. Right, let's take a look at what the protesters are up to. This should be fun, shouldn't it? I think this is 2025 wrapped protest style. Not my president. He kinda is. Hero comes along. How dare you deport illegal gang members protest? Yeah, we're going to have that same problem here. Well, that's if we even get a government that has the appetite to do it. And I think the only man that has the appetite to do it is Rupert Lowe, because Nigel Farage is a pretender. With the strength to... We should kill babies in the third trimester protest. You know, abortion is interesting. When did it become part of the narrative? Abortion is synonymous with women's rights and reproductive rights. I don't think it should be illegal, abortion, because if you make it illegal, it'll still happen, and then we'll have all sorts of ugly practices going on. And it's too far down the road now. You know, the case for making alcohol illegal is a strong one, but it's obviously, we're not going to do that, are we? It just wouldn't work. The cat's out the bag. You could never police it. And it's the same on the other side, making all drugs illegal. You know, okay, it takes it out of the criminals' hands, but you know, what are you going to do? Go to Tesco's for a gram of coke? You know, it just doesn't seem like conducive to a well-functioning society. So I don't think it should be illegal. But we abort in this country 220-ish thousand babies a year. We've got a declining birth rate. What I don't understand is, when did abortion become something to celebrate? When did abortion become sacred? In America, I think it's 1 million a year. I think 1 million babies are aborted every year. Now, do people think about those stats and feel proud? Is it good? Is it a great thing that we abort hundreds of thousands of babies a year? Have any of you got kids? I've got a 10-year-old, and I sometimes think, how many could be 10-year-olds are there if they were aborted because it was inconvenient for it's the mother that the abortion? But I think it's kind of unfair to put it all on them. But my point is, how has the narrative formed in the way that the narrative has formed? That abortion is somehow something to be celebrated and associated with women's rights. Yeah, poor Elon. He went from being a darling of the left to, I tell you what, there's an awful lot of censorship going on with the left. I'm going to buy Twitter, rebrand it as X, and make sure people can say what they weren't allowed to say before. Reinstate Donald Trump, although he doesn't really bother with it because he created his own social. But then backed Donald Trump as president. And so now Tesla, e-cars, awful, terrible. It's nothing to do with being green. They just want to be seen to be green. These are the people that we were talking about a moment ago that now vote Labour. And you can't and green. Yeah. This is the best one. This is the best one. That enough said. Well, that's not really a protest. I think that's just referring to pride, isn't it? And we've kind of covered that. And you know you can't. Yeah, no kings. What's interesting, I mean, the American Constitution, when Alexander Hamilton, James Madison were writing the Federalist Papers, and when they were constructing the nature of a American government, actually the president was designed to have king-like powers in the Constitution with checks and balances, which is the legislature and the judicial pillar. And so in the way that, for example, any president can decree orders, that a monarch, British monarch, is what they based it on. Obviously, the president isn't a king, but constitutionally, it kind of is. So when you... Yeah, I kind of half remember that one, but that got shut down pretty quick. It didn't descend into George Floyd style protests, thank God. Feel like hope is gone. Free the children, abolish ICE. Have you got a clue? White women for Sharia law. Yeah, this is true. There was a government ad on the government website in the UK asking for a clerk for Sharia in a Sharia law court or something like that. But of course, Islam and the left are best pals, aren't they? Lost on me, that one. Anyone? And you'll finally see. Yeah, that's the best one ever. The Quality Leering Centre. This is, yeah, I mean, it's strange now how things just move on so quickly in the news cycle. Because when this was headline news, and these were all American protests and American politics, but it was just beyond belief. The sheer levels and volumes of fraud by this community in America. But the problem is, the crime doesn't matter. The crime is irrelevant. It's which side are you on? That's what matters, first of all. We've regressed to this tribal nature. We can't apply critical thinking anymore. Because if these people could apply critical thinking, they'd say, oh, yeah, frauding the American government out of billions. That's not great. Every Somali with the same brush. There is extortionate amounts of fraud and that particular community. Right, we're going to wrap this up then with everyone is, as you probably already knew, I'm a you're away. Tearly, Tom and Tiny. This is an interesting one. The trigonometry lads were on Joey Rogues, and there's an interesting segment where they talked about an incident that happened in the 2021 Euros where 3 black players missed penalties in a penalty shootout to go through to the next round. And then the narrative exploded. England is white supremacy. Black players aren't welcome here because of stuff that was posted online. But there was actually something about that contradicted that, which is what they talk about here.
So an example of that is during the Euros, the 2021 final, it was England versus Italy, right? And it was a tight game and it went to penalty shootout. And 3 black England footballers missed the penalty and we ended up losing the European Cup to the Italians. And afterwards, these 3 black footballers got inundated with racism and horrible things. That sparked a conversation in our country about, we have a real problem with racism. This is disgraceful that these black footballers are exposed to this level of racism. It's unacceptable. Of course it is. All those things are true, but basically about them being exposed to racism is not acceptable. And then it went into a discussion about England being a country, white, and this became widespread. And the example of what these footballers were exposed to was used as a way to justify this opinion. And you could see a lot of people accept that opinion. Right. Until a couple of days later, when they investigated where the majority of the tweets came from and messages, and I think something like 85%, if not 90%, came from outside the UK, if not even more than that. So you're going, oh, so this entire conversation that we have had about white supremacy, about black people not being accepted in our country, about the fact they're second-class citizens, and look, this example of them being exposed to this horrendous racism, when the fact is the majority of it came from outside the UK.
And then you have to ask the question, who benefits?
Right.
Who benefits from us hating each other, obsessing about our differences, worrying about how we're the most places in the world, when this narrative is likely being driven by actually countries? Right? Because that's what's happening.
Yes.
And we are allowing it to happen. And I think we just haven't woken up to the fact that we are living in the age of informational warfare. And we, because of our belief in freedom, have just got lost in this fact that we are under attack.
Yeah, that's one perspective. But the other perspective is that by pointing out racism and standing against racism, that when something happens that ostensibly proves that there is a problem, people are so excited, really. I mean, they pretend they're outraged, but it's not outrage, it's excitement. They get to take a position. And ultimately, outrage is cheap and in plentiful supply. But the other key thing here is that we've decided that the worst possible thing in the world is racism. It's worse than murder. It's worse than paedophilia. And we know that because the issues that we've had with grooming gangs in this country, a massive overrepresentation, if you look at relative numbers, not absolute numbers, relative numbers, a massive overrepresentation of the Islamic Pakistani community in, I think the R word affects the algorithm, in R-ing children in this country because of the race of the perpetrators, and because racism, we've decided apparently that that's the worst possible crime. Obviously, it's not a great crime. I'm not encouraging it, but it's not the worst. It just isn't. It isn't the worst one if you were going to grade them. But people were more afraid of being labelled than they were upset by the crimes these people were committing. And let's end on this clip, which I have only watched a few seconds of. It looks phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. You wouldn't believe it. You didn't see it, is what I'll say. If you ever feel dumb, retarded, and gay, remember that there was a random white people kneeling for blacks begging for forgiveness. Please don't disappoint.
We know he died and he no longer should be here. In honor of his legacy, we're not rioting, God. We're not shaming anybody, God. We're just humbling ourselves before you. Yes, Lord. You brought the thunder and rain today, God. Because Satan takes the L today. Father, in Jesus' name, you get the victory. Father, we ask for forgiveness from our black brothers and sisters for years and years of racism, of systematic racism. We know he died and he no longer should be here.
Well, we can only entertain ourselves, can't we? If you've stayed to the end, I really appreciate it. Genuinely, I do. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you haven't already, leave a like. And if you haven't already, leave a comment. Tell me you think I'm a buffoon, if you like. Tell me you hate me. It's good for the algorithm. And share it. Share it far and wide. Tell everyone. Tell everyone about the hot takes from the guy in his living room. Thanks for watching.